It is important to understand how to navigate around the Unity interface so that you can more quickly and versatilely create and develop video games. So, let's go through some of the common tools used in Unity. You can pan. To do this, you would select this hand here. Additionally, you'll see that I could hold down Alt and middle mouse button to pan. You could also move, rotate, or scale objects in a number of directions, or along a number of axes. Now, the same functionality can happen by selecting the object and pressing the W to access the Move tool, the E key to access the Rotate tool, or the R key to access the Scale tool. Now, this is actually a very unique tool, more used for 2D than 3D, but that allows us to actually scale our objects, move our objects in a variety of directions. And sometimes, if we get it just right, to rotate our objects. So this tool basically has all the functionality built into it. For 3D objects, it's a bit unintuitive. Now, to circle around this viewport here, to look around this viewport, I'm holding down Alt and I'm left mouse button clicking and holding. And now I'm just dragging to get whatever perspective of the viewport I want. Now, you'll also notice, I'll just start taking you through the entire interface. Over here we have the hierarchy panel. You'll notice we have a create button here where we create certain objects and add them into the hierarchy. For example, if we add a cube here, you'll notice that it's added directly in the hierarchy. The same thing can be said for if we go to game object, 3D object, cube. Now, the hierarchy contains all the game objects which are in this current scene. Now, if you have another scene and you open it up, its hierarchy will reflect everything in that scene. Now, down here we have the project tab, and you'll see here that this has our assets folder with all of our game assets. Right now we only have one script from a previous tutorial, but in the future we're going to have folders upon folders of assets here. Now, one key thing is the organization of your project. In order to better organize your project, you could right click, create, and go to the folder option. You could name this folder something like, for example, graphics. You could then repeat the process and make a folder for audio or a folder for scripts. Then if you double click on these, you can drag and drop your assets from here. For example, we have this Collider script. We can drag and drop this into our scripts folder. Now you can see that our assets folder is better organized. When we want to access this script, we'll double click here and we'll be able to access this script. Now, we also have the console. In a future tutorial in this series, I'm going to show you how to debug your code using this console. Your console is what's going to display the errors and warnings and messages within your game. Now, over here, you'll see that all three of those are selected. If we unselect errors, for example, errors will not pop up here. So we want to make sure that we have all three of these selected. Clear on play means that every time we hit play, our console is going to clear out all of the previous errors that may have been fixed before we started our game up again. If you don't have this activated, it could cause you some frustration, because when you fixed an error, it may not reflect that here, even if you hit play to replay the game. Collapse means that it's going to collapse common errors, so you're not going to get 100 of the same error message. You'll get one, and then it'll say that that error message appears 100 times. Now, our inspector is very important. If we click on this cube, we can see that our inspector displays all the components that are contained by or on this game object. Now, in one of the previous tutorials where I spoke about components, you'll note that components are extremely important to our game's functionality. A lot of the time you spend here will be spent in the inspector panel. So that's a basic navigation around the Unity interface. You could also use this little view cube here, and you could actually click on these different axes to spin to the view that you'd like. You could also click an object and double click it to frame it. Thank you for watching, and in the next few tutorials I will continue to go over how to navigate around Unity's interface.